Today on Sports Central, we'll be going over a college football game preview and prediction on a big matchup coming up in the Big Ten in Week 13. And this one's going to be between Minnesota and Wisconsin. And of course, this is always a big game in the Big Ten West, and it's a big rivalry matchup as well. And of course, this season, it's really going to be no different. Wisconsin, of course, is still fighting for an opportunity in the Big Ten Championship, and Minnesota is still trying to keep their bowl hopes alive. So it's going to be a big matchup for both these teams and a very crucial one moving forward. And it's going to make for a good one. We're going to be going over a full game preview and prediction on this one here today, starting out with your team trends. And of course, Minnesota last week beat Purdue, and it was kind of in a controversial game, but a win's a win. 34-31 was the final score there. Golden Gophers got the win. Then for Wisconsin, they lost to Northwestern 7-17. That was a brutal game there for the Badgers. I mean, Northwestern, give credit to them. They played extremely well in that matchup. I mean, their defense looked great all around. It was just a tough game, though, for Wisconsin. And in the end, Northwestern is now a game ahead of Wisconsin. And Wisconsin really needs Northwestern to lose a couple more games over the next couple of weeks if Wisconsin's chances are even going to be still there to win the division. But Wisconsin, they just got to keep winning out. And this is going to be a very important game for them. This is pretty much a must-win, I would say, if you're the Badgers in this situation. But for the winning streaks, both these teams, Minnesota is 2-3 with a one-game winning streak. Wisconsin is 2-1 with a one-game losing streak. And of course, Wisconsin is a couple of games down as well because they had a couple of games canceled due to COVID positives around the Wisconsin team. So you do also got to consider that, but Wisconsin is ranked 18th. And really, I mean, if you look at Wisconsin so far this season, they've played very dominantly against their first two opponents. I mean, if you look at how they played against, even Michigan, they completely destroyed them 49-11, and that was just last week before the Northwestern game. And they also blew out Illinois at the beginning of the season 45-7. So Wisconsin, coming into that Northwestern matchup, was scoring 47 points per game, and they only scored a touchdown against the Wildcats there. So it does show that Wisconsin is vulnerable in some areas. But for Minnesota being a team that's really struggled offensively this season so far, which is really surprising considering they got Tanner Morgan, who had a great season in 2019. It's just been an off year for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. But still, I think Minnesota's got a lot of talent here. We saw how good that they played last season. That just shows how much talent and potential Minnesota has. So you cannot sleep on this Minnesota team if you're Wisconsin in this situation. But this game's going to be on Saturday, November 28th, 2 p.m. Eastern in Madison, Wisconsin. So the Badgers will be your home team here. Spread currently says Wisconsin by 21. ESPN FPI's got Wisconsin 95%. Very heavy on the Wisconsin side there. And the biggest prediction is also going with Wisconsin 43-28 being the predicted final score right now. So the Vegas prediction actually is going with a shootout here. That'd be kind of surprising considering, both defenses have been pretty good this season, but it does expect it to be a shootout. So that's something to keep in mind as we move towards this game. But here's your stat comparison for this matchup. Minnesota's got 30 points per game, 34 points allowed. They got 206 pass yards a game, 198 rush yards. And then for yards allowed, they got 240 passing and then 215 rushing. As for Wisconsin, they're really good on the offensive side, but even the offensive stats for Wisconsin are good. They got 33 points per game, 11 points allowed. They got 201 pass yards a game, 219 rush yards. And then for yards allowed, 116 passing and then 67 rushing. And of course, if you look at Wisconsin, they've only allowed, if you look at the games that they've played so far, they really have only allowed 25 points through 3 games so far this season. And of course, they allowed 7 to Illinois, 11 to Michigan, and then actually 17 to Northwestern. So that number is a little bit higher. They've allowed around 30, but still, that is an incredible stat through 3 games of this season so far. It's very impressive what Wisconsin has been able to do, especially on the defensive side. And it's just a bummer that they got a loss. But as for the passing yards, once again, 201 is not bad out of Graham Mertz. But for the rushing game has actually been a big factor for Wisconsin so far. They've got Berger, of course, who's been, I would say, their top rusher so far. He's only got 180 yards on the season so far. But then again, that is through 3 games. So that's an average of 60 yards a game. But he's also got a touchdown, so that's not too bad. But in the end, for Wisconsin, their defensive stats have been as good as anybody so far this season. So for Minnesota, that is something that you do have to watch out for as we head into this matchup. But here's some key points for this one. Wisconsin obviously is coming off of a very tough Week 12 loss. That was a bad loss for Wisconsin. Northwestern, and considering how crucial of a game that was, considering Northwestern is now on top of the Big Ten West, I'm sure Wisconsin's going to want to have that one back. But in the end, still it was a close game. But I mean, once again, that was a crucial game there for Wisconsin and for Northwestern on their side too. That was also a very important game for them. But Minnesota on their side, they still have potential to make a good bowl game. Like if Minnesota can win out, because I mean, it's definitely possible for Minnesota. Their schedule is favorable moving forward. I mean, Minnesota still has potential to make it to a decent bowl game, so that's going to be on the line for them. But yeah, that's exactly why this is a crucial game for both these teams, is because the postseason implications are definitely getting closer, and postseason is getting closer in general. So for both these teams, yeah, I mean, this is kind of do or die time for both of these teams, but do expect it to be a closer game. I mean, all three of your sources, of course, between the spread, the FPI, and the Vegas prediction, we're all predicting blowouts here. I do not think this is going to be a blowout. I think Wisconsin does get the win, but it's going to be close. Minnesota's going to hang around in this game all the way to the end, and I mean, there's going to be a lot of motivation for both these teams, once again, with the implications on the postseason that you have, as well as it being a rivalry game. I think both teams are going to keep this one pretty close. Halftime score is going to be 17-10. Wisconsin will lead, and in the final, it's going to be 34-27. Badgers get the win. I'm only going to give it a 65% chance of Wisconsin, though. I think Minnesota genuinely does have potential to win this game. Once again, we saw how much potential Minnesota had last season with the roster that they have, which, I mean, if you look at Minnesota's team right now, there's not a lot different from 2019 to 2020. This Minnesota team still's got a lot of potential and a lot of talent. So I do think Minnesota keeps it close, but once again, Wisconsin gets the win in the end by a touchdown. 34-27 is your final score. But do let me know your thoughts and comments below on this game. Let me know your score predictions, all of that down below. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. But then again, thanks again for watching. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. If you enjoyed this preview, slap a like on it, and I will see you all later.